Hello, welcome to day one of College Algebra and the first day of week one. I'm sure that you guys are feeling a little overwhelmed with everything that you need to do, so let's just break it down and take a look at week one only. So, welcome to week one of College Algebra. So hopefully you guys are all in the right spot because here you are. So first let's talk about what College Algebra is. So this is generally the first math class that you take when you are in college. It is generally considered an introductory course, giving you the basics that you need to progress into many higher college level courses that are required for a lot of the degrees. Some of these higher level courses include pre-calculus, trigonometry, calculus, statistics, and degrees that usually require these types of courses are business degrees, engineering degrees, computer science, those more technical fields. A college algebra course generally builds upon and extends the algebra you covered in high school. So if you are fresh out of high school, you'll see a lot of things that are familiar. If it's been a long time, you may need to take it may take a while for it to come back to you. So how can college algebra apply to your life? Well, there's a lot of things. So we've got business. You can use algebra to predict the sales of a company and find break-even points. In banking, you can use algebra to determine how interest is calculated on your bank accounts. With sports, you can understand the math behind sports like football and baseball. For bills, you can use algebra to figure out how your cell phone bill is calculated, and it's actually very helpful for budgeting as well. It applies to science, population growth, radiocarbon dating, pH, criminal justice. You can determine when somebody has died using Newton's law of cooling. Math is also, and algebra is actually used in determining skids and how fast somebody was going when an accident occurred based off of the skid marks. Healthcare, when to administer a drug. And computer science, writing functions, working with computer memory, and there's a whole lot more. So this is just a small sampling of how college algebra can apply to your life. There are skills that algebra teaches you that can apply no matter what degree you're in, and those skills include critical thinking, paying attention to details, organization, problem solving, logical thinking, and patience. So these are a lot of skills that are helpful when you're going on job interviews, and so you can take away or take some, take the experiences in this class and use those in those job interviews when they ask you about your skills. How are you good at paying attention to details? How is your problem solving? That sort of thing. And for more information, I have a link here, recommended reading, so you can download the PowerPoint to click on this. It's very fascinating. And then I have a video that I recommend you watch. The video shows you how math connects to all sorts of things in the world. So let's take a look at what you need to do for week one. And week one is considered the prerequisite and review chapter, and that's what we're going to be focusing on. So this is chapter P, the prerequisites and review chapter. And there are 6 sections, but we're only going to do 5. So we're going to start with the review of real numbers and their properties, look at exponents and radicals, polynomials and special products, factoring, and rational expressions. If you have taken MA104, which is fundamentals of algebra, then most of this was covered in that class with the exception of radicals and rational expressions. So for those who took fundamentals, a lot of this should be reviewed, and so this will be a good refresher for you. For those who may need some additional help, I did pick out some Khan Academy links for each section. Khan Academy is a great website with extra videos, and there are some practice problems you can do as well. So if you know that you're going to need some help on certain sections, you can download this PowerPoint, and then you can click on the links and go from there. So for this week, you have 3 tasks. You have your discussion, an ungraded practice assignment, and the assignment. So let's look at the discussion first. So your discussion is made up of 2 parts. Part 1, you introduce yourself to the class, share your background when it comes to algebra. Have you taken algebra before? How long ago was it? And what are your goals for this course? It's always good to have goals when you come into a course so that you have something to work towards. Part 2 of the discussion is to list 5 study strategies to help you succeed in the class. And so that could be coming up with a time management plan. It could be doing lots of practice problems. Maybe you need a quiet area. In my course coordinator resources, I have some additional some ideas with my time management schedule that can perhaps help you out there. So your discussion, there are certain requirements for your discussion. There is a 75 word minimum, and when you're typing in the discussion box, it will tell you how many words you have. Your main post, your response to the prompt, is due by Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. Central. And then by Tuesday night, 11:59 p.m. Central, you need to have a minimum of 2 reply posts to your classmates. We do encourage you to do more than 2 because that's how you really get to know each other. But you do have a minimum of 2, and these should be in response to their posts. So you're going to want to read the posts of others, not just reply to those who have replied to you. Though that is something you should do. All replies need to be substantive. So substantive means that it means something, it is worth reading. So this could be several sentences long. You want to make sure it relates to the post that you're replying to. You want to advance the discussion in a meaningful way. Perhaps you're asking questions. You can challenge others in a professional manner. That could be maybe providing different suggestions to someone's study strategies if you think they might need more help, or if you think that maybe one of them is not so good. And also addressing any questions that were asked of you. So you should be, in addition to replying to posts of others, always check your own discussion posts to see if people have asked you questions. And then if they have, you should respond. So this is the rubric for grading of the discussion. And so you have these different criteria. We are grading on whether your post is well developed and whether you are demonstrating knowledge or insight into the discussion. So this doesn't matter so much for this week, but we do have some weeks where discussion is math-based, and so correctness is part of demonstrating your knowledge and insight into the discussion. So some of the discussions will be graded partially on correctness, in addition to that you're addressing all aspects. So if you address everything, even if it's wrong, you can still get 15 points because you provided a well-developed post. You did answer everything. So you want to make sure you're answering all the questions, and you want to be as correct as possible, but this is a learning experience, and so that's why we're doing this in a discussion forum. People can help you out, and then you can make corrections to your post during the week to when you find your errors. Each reply post to one of your classmates is worth 10 points. So if you're not doing those, that's 20 points out of 50 that you're not getting on your discussion, which is a pretty big deal. That's a big chunk of your grade. And then we've got a small 5 points for grammar, spelling, citation. So if you're required to have references and you don't have any, you could lose some points there. Now, taking a look at your assignments, there is an ungraded assignment and a graded assignment for this week. So the ungraded assignment is not turned in. This is something just for your own practice to kind of make sure you know where you are, that you understand everything. And so there are selected problems here. All of the answers are in the textbook because these are all odd problems. So you can check it immediately. And then you can watch worked out videos on CalcView for some of them, or see all of the step-by-step solutions on CalcChat. Those are both resources that are linked through the textbook, and also when you go to the start of the review exercises, there will be a link there as well to those. For your graded assignment, every week you have 10 problems. Some of these may be multi-part problems, but you have 10 total to complete. And you want to show all of your work for these so that you can get feedback on where you went wrong. If you don't show work, then how are you going to know where your mistakes were? So you want to make sure you show all your steps so that we can give you guidance. These are graded right or wrong. There's no partial credit. And this is because many instructors allow resubmissions. And the assignments are a small portion of the grade. We want to make sure that you're getting feedback on what you're doing before you take the quiz. So the bulk of your grade is on the quiz, and that's where you can get partial credit. But the assignments are a small portion. So this is just to make sure you understand what is going on. So it's right or wrong, but you get feedback, and then if your instructor allows, you can get a resubmission. So some questions to ask your instructor, because everybody is different, and while I may be the coordinator, I don't make the rules for how your instructor does the course and how they grade. So you're going to want to make sure you ask your instructor whether late submissions are accepted and whether you can submit your assignments as photos or scans. So we do say that we would prefer you to type up all of your math using Microsoft Word, but it is a little difficult, and so if you struggle with that, definitely ask if you can scan or take a picture of your work instead and do it on paper, because that might make it easier. I also recommend that you ask what your instructor's policy is on doing late discussions and discussion replies. Do they allow you to do a discussion late? Some do, some don't. Can you do late replies? And actually, this is a good question just on assignments and quizzes as well. That's what the first bullet point. Sometimes there's a penalty, so you may want to also ask if there's a late penalty. And then I would definitely ask, are you awarded partial credit on the quizzes if you have some of your stuff correct? Week 2, you'll have your first quiz, and you are required to turn your work in with the quiz into a separate Dropbox. And most instructors do give partial credit, but you're going to want to make sure and find out for sure if your instructor is one of those. So these are all things that I would recommend you ask your instructor so that you know what the expectations are for your class. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning when I was talking about the discussion and study skills and time management, I do have a suggested schedule. And this is something that could be part of a study strategy for you, is to follow my suggested schedule. So for week 1, I suggest that you do a section at a time, and then you use the success organizer, or the notes organizer as I call it, to take notes, and that organizer is available on the textbook website. I have mapped out which videos go with each section. So instead of watching all of the videos at once, you can watch the videos that are relevant to that section. And then I've also taken some of the practice problems and mapped them out. So your best thing to do is to read and watch videos on a section, take notes, and then work practice problems, and then do the assignment questions that correspond with that section. Once you've done that, go to the next section. So you do that for P.1, complete all that, then go on to P.2. If you are low on time, I would recommend seeing if I have any course coordinator videos to watch and make that your priority instead of the reading, and then use the reading as your guide when you're working the practice problems. But this is a good schedule. I have all of the assignments mapped out so that you know which section to look for help when you're working on your assignment. And they're not necessarily in order, so keep in mind that you can't just work the assignment in order, because that's sort of how it fell. If you're struggling on an assignment question, look in that particular section for the end of section exercises and see if there are any similar problems in the odds that you can look at. Since all of the odds have their solutions on CalcChat, that will allow you to take a look at how it's worked out, and that might help you on your own assignment. So if you have any questions, my name is Stephanie Capist and I'm your course coordinator. I've got my email address here and my phone number. So I'm looking forward to giving you guys resources throughout the whole term, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. I am happy to help. So I hope that you guys have a great Wednesday, and you have a great start to the class, and I'm really excited. I hope that you guys find a lot of things valuable here and that you find it useful going forward. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.